with Dayo.
Welcome back to Hard Factor 91.3 Nigeria Info and Port Harcourt. I'm Dayo. It's 8 minutes gone past 5 o'clock. Discussions continue. Thanks for staying tuned. The matter we'll discuss it next. Well, the police can find some of their arms and ammunition. It's the matter we're discussing right now. You can find details of this situation in a story courtesy the Vanguard newspaper. That story is captioned 178,459 firearms, ammunition missing from police armory, according to an audit report. Once again, details in the Vanguard. But a cursory look at that story before delving into it in some detail. About 178,459 different types of arms and ammunition got missing from the police armory in 2019 without any trace of formal reports on their whereabouts. An audit report of the Auditor General of the Federation has stated of the figure, the details show that 88,078 AK-47 rifles, 3,907 assorted rifles, and pistols from different formations nationwide could not be accounted for as at January 2020. Now, details of the missing arms were contained from pages 383 to 391 of the Auditor General for the Federation Annual Report on Non-Compliant Internal Control Weaknesses, Issues, Administrative Departments and Agencies of the Federal Government of Nigeria for the year ended 31st December 2019, submitted by the Office of the Auditor General to the National Assembly. Now, the report stated that the action contravenes paragraph 2603 of the Financial Regulations, which stipulates that, quote, in the event of any loss of stores, the officer in charge of the store in which the loss occurs shall report immediately to the head of department or unit, but not later than 3 days by the fastest means possible if the loss occurs away from headquarters. Now, the report stated, thus, audits observed from the review of arms movement register, monthly returns of arms and ammunition ammunition register at the Armory section that the total number of lost firearms, as reported as at December 2018, stood at 178,459 pieces. Also, records obtained from the force armament at the force headquarters showed 21 police mobile force squadron Abuja did not report a single case of missing firearm, whereas schedule of missing arms obtained from the same PMF showed a total number of 46 missing arms between year 2000 and February 2019. The value of the lost firearms could not be ascertained because no document relating to their cost of acquisition was presented for examination. The above anomalies could be attributed to weaknesses in the internal control system at the Nigeria Police Force armament. And it goes on and on. In the same way, okay, well, that has to do with contracts. But let's stick with the part of the story that has to do with missing arms and ammunition for the purpose of this conversation. What impression of the NPF does this give Nigerians? How are firearms generally being controlled, if there's any control at all, as I imagine there should be, within the Nigerian Police Force? What are the procedures in giving an officer a firearm or returning the said firearm? Can a firearm go missing? What are the circumstances in which it can go missing? What procedure should kick it immediately that happens? This and other details we're discussing at this time. And joining me via phone for this conversation is Ambassador Oamien Roy Okhidievbie. He's a Group CEO, August I Limited, an Army veteran. Also, he is the Media Coalition of Concerned Military Veterans, a National PRO, Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria. Roy, good evening to you and welcome to Hard Facts. Also, Happy New Year as well.
Good evening. Happy New Year, Mr. Dayo. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your time. And let's get straight to the conversation right now. How exactly are firearms? What is the procedure for firearms management in the Nigeria Police? Or maybe even, I don't know if the procedures are different across security agencies in the country. But with the police, especially, what's the procedure? If I want a bottle of water, for example, I simply go to my fridge and I open it and I pick up a bottle if it's there. Is that how it works with firearms and the police? If an officer decides, okay, I need a gun today, or I'm going to a hotspot, or I'm going for an operation, does he just walk up to the armory, like I would walk up to a fridge, open the door, pick a gun, and walk out? Is that how it works, or is the procedure different?
Well, you see, every day we meet different kinds of scenarios in Nigeria that it just looks like somebody is reading a comic book, you know. And if you look at the procedure in the Nigerian Army, where I served, incidentally, I worked also in the Armory in Kaduna 21 Support Engineer Regiment. And, you know, soldiers go on duty. So when you are going on duty, you come to the Armory and you sign for your rifle and a particular number of bullets, you know. And when you are off from your duty, you return same to the Armory. And it is counted. If you lose one of that round of ammunition, you are in trouble. You need to face a court-martial. You need to be charged to an admin or trial in the office there. You know, you'll be locked up. You'll be locked up. And there are some other instances where the weapon is at the location. So in such instances, the duty vehicle takes you there. You exchange weapons with the soldier on duty. And you inbox the duty vehicle and it brings you back to the barrack, if it is outside the barrack. And when I left the army, I've done so many things in the line of my business in security. And I know that police also have armory, where you go and you sign for your arms. And they also have duty posts where police officers go there and exchange arms at the duty post. You don't need to take it to the armory. You don't need to go to the armory. Then I'm sure also that from squadrons in the mobile police force, I'm sure they are also allocated XYZ number of weapons, which they will account for monthly, quarterly, or bi-monthly, whatever it will be. So when you see this kind of staggering figure, you know, I first checked the link, if it is all these junk news. But reading the content and seeing that the figures are generated from the office of the Auditor General in his report, you know, it's very sad because if we are looking at that kind of number of weapons unaccounted for, with the current insecurity in the country, then it is a very, very dicey situation.
You said that when a security agent is allocated a firearm, even the number of bullets as well is counted, and you must return the same number. And if they're expended, I imagine it means you have to explain why you expended them. But if you go about town in Port Harcourt, for example, or other parts of River State, or other parts of the country for that matter, I dare say, you find police officers. I've witnessed this. You may have. Others definitely have as well. There is no security threat. There is no provocation of any kind. But simply because some security official is excited or wants to announce the presence of some VIP that he's protecting, decides to start to shoot arbitrarily into the air. And we see that happen all the time. So who accounts for those bullets that they're shooting in the air in excitement or to announce the presence or arrival of their principal?
Okay, well, for the military, I don't think you will have that audacity, except in situations where you cannot recover the empty shell, and then you are not with a commander that will give another. You know, but for the police, I will safely accrue such situations to where they need to do show of force. So if they propose that it is a show of force, was it necessary? But the situation and the scenario you captured right now is blatant and irresponsible. It occurs all the time. Even sometimes you will just see a police vehicle going and somebody will just release firearms and a bullet round. Sometimes you see them escorting someone for a burial or something and they will release firearms. I don't know who is the commander there that will give that instruction. But let me try to come back to the gravity of the news. You know, if you look at this news that we have now, I want you to understand something, that this number of firearms that the Auditor General is actually trying to account for are those that were purchased and issued to police formations for use. Now, we have not even started to talk about those that were recovered from criminals. You recall we demonstrate on TV so many weapons that were recovered from criminals, and the criminals will be taken in for detention. So we are not even talking of that. We are not talking of those weapons that were discovered coming in from the wharf in a container. We are not talking about those that come in from our porous border through those vehicles that you see on viral video, where they will be bringing weapons and ammunition out of them. So if the police commission on its own, the police institution, is now a contributor to the number of viral life arms, then you can see the gravity of where we are currently.
All right, let's talk about the issue of is it a normal occurrence for, maybe not every day, but is it accepted in security circles, the police, for example, that a police officer loses a firearm? Now, if it's somewhat acceptable, maybe in certain cases, what are those circumstances in which it will be acceptable or it will be heard of that an officer has lost a firearm, and what procedure should kick in immediately once that firearm has been lost?
Well, as far as I know, in the DSS, the immigration, all agencies that carry weapons, there is basically similar surrounding instruction around it. Okay, the first thing that happens when you lost your firearms, even if it is true when you were overpowered by hoodlums or whatever the information that you bring back is, you are detained. When detained, you will now face an internal court matter. In the police, maybe it's called Audit room trial. You know, if you go online, you will see a lot of cases in the police that are related to firearms losses. So if you look at where the problem is now, is the penalty according to the book. Is it a deterrent? Because we have seen cases where soldiers were apprehended selling guns, police officers are apprehended selling guns and ammunition. Some do rent it out. They rent it out to criminals to go and rob and come back. You know, and I look at the concept of criminality, and I see the decadence in the mind of a man. How can I release my weapon to a criminal to perpetrate crime, knowing that my colleague will also intercept that firepower on the way, trying to decide? So there is a rule in all agencies that you must protect your weapon. And if you lose your weapon, there are court martials or the room trials that you must go through to be able to defend yourself. If there are reasonable doubts, you know, so a committee is set up to try to review the surrounding situation to see if there are reasonable doubts why you could not come back with your weapon or why you claim that it was taken from you. Because with experience, such committee would have had so many scenarios that have played out to show that it may not be his fault or it is his fault. In the event that it is his fault, is the penalty going to be accruing? Will he face penalty? If he does, then it begins to serve as a deterrent. But what the Auditor General discovered was an internal institution failure. And he mentioned it there, that there was no accountability. Because even in the Armory, officers go and officers come. So there are situations where an officer is taking over from another officer in the Armory. Is there proper accountability? Then the ones that have been detected in previous audits, what was done? Because this is just another report. So what was done to deter future officers in such responsibility from creating those kind of abuses that will make us face this kind of precarious situation.
Mm. All right, we do have to go for a commercial break shortly, but still in line of what you're saying, and I refer to the Auditor General's report here, and I quote: "The value of the lost firearms could not be ascertained because no document relating to their cost of acquisition was presented for examination. The above anomaly could be attributed to weaknesses in the internal control system at the Nigeria Police Force Armament." Now, does this suggest that weapons just go missing in the Nigeria Police Force, and nobody does anything about it? An officer just returns and says they can't find the gun again, and everybody just says, "Hey, yeah, sorry, hope you're okay. Thank God for life." Does that mean that's what plays out? But just a moment, I have to go for commercial break now. We'll return at about 5:30 and the conversation will continue. All right, still had Factor 90.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. Commercial break headlines at 5:30 p.m. Do please stay with us. Conversation does continue shortly.
give the facts.
News entirely.
We give the evidence. Just to keep you informed.
News, weather.
I get my information top of the hour every hour.
92.3 Nigeria Info.
Headline News, Nigeria Info on
92.3.
Headline News.
Happy New Year from 90.3 Nigeria Info FM. Here are the headlines. Get vaccinated, protect yourself, protect others. Police investigate shooting which forced popular singer Tenny to flee event in Buguma, River State. And political analysts, environmentalists disagree with Governor Wike's New Year directive to local government chairmen to clamp down on illegal oil refineries. Presidency denies crisis with legislation over 2022 budget. Federal government issues new directives to visitors of presidential villa. On the foreign scene, Brazil President Jair Bolsonaro admitted to hospital. In business, World Bank says Nigeria's inflation rate may be among world's highest in 2022. In entertainment, reality TV star Nina Okidievbie says Zazu Ze, popular song by fast-rising singer Portable, is overhyped. In sports, Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku linked the shock move to rivals Tottenham to reunite with former Inter Milan boss Antonio Conte. Get your PVC, be actively involved in the electioneering process. Those are the headlines. Details at 6 p.m. Thanks for listening. I'm Adedayo Elusakin. Good evening.
We give the facts.
News entirely.
We give the evidence. Just to keep you informed.
News, weather.
I get my information top of the hour every hour.
92.3 Nigeria Info.
And now, Hard Facts.
With Diode.
Welcome back to the Hard Factor 91.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dio. A conversation continues. 178,459 firearms, ammunition missing from the police armory, based on the Auditor General's audit report. And my guest who joined me via phone once again for this conversation is Ambassador Oamien Roy Okhidievbie, his Group CEO, August I Limited. Roy, welcome back once again.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
So before we went for the break, I asked a question because in the Auditor General's report, it was stated that the cost of these firearms or missing ammunition I want to quote, the value of the lost firearms could not be ascertained because no document relating to their cost of acquisition was presented for examination. The above anomalies could be attributed to weaknesses in the internal control system at the Nigeria Police Force Armament. Now, what does this imply if the police couldn't even supply documentation to show the cost of these firearms? Does it mean that an officer simply returns and says, gone missing, and they say, hey, yeah, thank God for life, and that's it?
No, because I read that part, and I know that definitely, where this problem started was when the policeman leaves the service. What's going to happen to him? Who is going to care for him? When a military man leaves the service, who is going to care for him? And the police own his work. Why? They are the ones escorting the VIP. They are the ones that escorted all those bullion vans we are talking about that was roaming about during the election. Election is coming again. They are the ones that carry the Ghana must go, put it in the foot, and escort the organ. So give the Ghana must go to another person. And he's coming back and he just share maybe 5,000 for them, which they spend on drink and every other thing, waiting for the next assignment. So when we started to see this kind of irresponsibility was when the procurement of weapons now became something that was in the hands of the hierarchy of the military, the hierarchy of the police. So definitely, if you read that auditor's report properly, you will see a section when the auditor said that one person will be bidding with 3 companies, to do procurement for which is also wrong, which they detected that was wrong, you know. And you will see situations where the normal and the normal amount which you can get online for a hardware, a weapon, you know, is inflated. And as it's inflated, it gets to government pays for it. You know, we even take loans from outside the country to pay for inflated cost of hardware. And it's so baffling because you are expected to buy more, but instead you are buying few with more money. You know, and this is why you see you cannot see those documents, Dayo. Because definitely if you see those documents, more dust will be raised because you want to renew an investigation that has been collapsed at one point or the other. So definitely you won't see any document to say XYZ number of weapons, light arms were purchased from France, from Israel, from China at XYZ amount. Okay, if it is so, what was the travel rate of the equipment? Was this bus in Abuja moved to Port Harcourt or from Port Harcourt moved to Bayelsa? Is it not supposed to be moved with all documentation, you know, all the files? Even if you keep the original, you keep photocopies to go with the equipment for accountability purposes. Because you know that some weapons that they recover from criminals, you will see some reports where you hear that the serial number on that weapon is for the police. But nowadays, we don't even hear that the serial number means that it's a military weapon or it's a police weapon. We'll just hear that, oh, the magazine box was painted with police color. So we are sure that they took this weapon from the police. So accountability has collapsed, you know, and relevance to instruction. Once the government cannot be able to peg this road, to be able to detect where lashes rose from, who is accountable for this? That is where we are.
Join the conversation right now if you will. The lines are open. Call 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, or 0817 923 0007. WhatsApp is on 0809 030 We are live on facebook.com / Nigeria Info PH. Via Facebook, Keto Igweke goes, God have mercy. Kimbo Bola goes, please die. Is there any civil volunteer in this country? Raining goes, the institution called Nigeria Police is a safe house for terrorists. Let's go to the phone lines now. Hello, hard fact, you're welcome. Straight to your comment or question, please.
My name is Mission Yone. I'm calling from Balayon.
Go ahead. Go straight to your comment or question, please.
All right. And I want to ask, in case on duty and the police or the star is overwhelmed by the enemy, what will be the actions of the authority of the military if the arm is lost by the policeman who is on duty? That's my question. Thank you. I'm sorry if you missed
that part of the conversation that was discussed earlier on. What the procedure should be if a policeman loses a firearm. What happens if a security operative, an army personnel? We discussed that extensively in the course of the conversation. We cannot go back to cover that again. Sorry, but you can watch, if you still listen to me, you can watch the interview all over again on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com / Nigeria Info PH, or visit our YouTube page, search for Nigeria Info PH on YouTube. You can watch again and catch up on the discussion so far on the show today. All right, once again, 0817 963 0002 or 0003 or 0007 numbers to call. Roy, with this development, does this pose any security threat to the nation?
Well, following the current security precarious situation, you know, most of these firearms that you see now, you recall there was a time the government said we are mopping up arms. Many times the government will say we are mopping up arms. And they will come to built-up areas, they will come to civilian occupied areas, your streets, your estates, and they will start saying they are mopping up arms. These kind of weapons are in unpoliced areas. These are weapons that we know have traveled away from civility. They are kept in places where they are brought out to be used to cause mayhem and to take life. So if you see this kind of browsing attitude of bandits, criminals, elements, you will be shocked. And some of these things are also in the hands of thugs. These are thugs that are expected to be deployed anytime there's an election. You don't need to look for a process to tell you that once you're getting closer to 2023, you will start hearing gunshots in every gathering. And the police will be there. You know, the army will be there. But nobody can really do anything because our political terrorism is not being looked at. We don't know that there are different kinds of terrorism. You know, and Nigeria has perfected political terrorism. That is why you see once there is election era, there are thugs brandishing weapons, cutlasses, guns, breaking bottles. Even you, the press, you are always a danger loop, you know, because you go there to cover a normal political situation and you will meet that like in a battlefield. You know, so when these weapons cannot be traced, when accountability cannot be processed properly to ensure that we can put our weapons in the hands of sane people and we can be sure that those tests for use are accounted for, then we are actually throwing our eyes away from opportunities for mayhem. And this is why anytime there is crisis in Nigeria, the kind of scenarios you see are just mind-boggling because people are prepared to begin to fire at will with illegal weapons. And that's very bad.
Oh, on that note, we have to wrap up the conversation. Many thanks for being a part of it, especially thanks to my guest who joined me via phone. He is an Army veteran. Amongst other things also, he is Director, Media, Coalitions of Concerned Military Veterans, National PRO, Association of Licensed Practitioners of Nigeria, and also he is the Group CEO, August I Limited, Ambassador Oamien Roy Okhidievbie. Roy, thank you very much for your time and wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Got a break coming up right now. Paid interview, I suppose, coming up shortly. Top of the hour, 6 p.m. We've got the major news coming up, and open season is up after that. Do please stay with us.